Hello everyone, Jonathan Pulley here with West Coast Weather. Today we're going to be looking at the forecast, and right now we're looking at the European model on the left and the GFS, the American model, on the right. Right now, we're having a pretty calm weekend. There's some ridging over the area, but there's this huge deep trough and strong storm system just south of southwest of Anchorage, Alaska. This is from some tropical storm influence from the West Pacific. All that energy gets drawn up out of the tropics, gets into the jet stream, and then causes these storm systems that happen downstream. And that's what's happening over the Gulf of Alaska right now. There's a cutoff low right now over Northern California, bringing some light rain to parts of the northern Sacramento Valley, but most of that should stay north of the Bay Area. Mostly completely dry weather for most over Oregon and Washington and British Columbia as this ridge of high pressure builds in for a couple days. But as we go through later tomorrow, Sunday into Monday, this trough starts breaking down. And you can see there's really good agreement between the European model and the GFS. And that's pretty typical for only a couple days out. But then as we start heading into later Monday, this a frontal system, you can't really see it on this map, but a frontal system, a very weak dying frontal system, will move through later Monday early afternoon or so and move through Washington and Southwest BC. Oregon might get close by it, but it's going to be a very light rainmaker, and we'll bring some breezy southerly winds, but that should be kicked out by Tuesday morning. But this next, that dying trough starts to reinvigorate right just off the coast of Vancouver Island. And this is going to bring a storm system somewhere anywhere from Haida down to Washington. The model, you can see that the models are starting to disagree. European model is stronger. And let me switch it to last night's run so we can go out even farther than before. And as we play this out, look at how the European model brings this a much stronger low right over towards Vancouver Island, while the GFS kind of just doesn't really have much going on. Both would still bring rain and stuff to the mountains, and there's likely going to be a couple inches of rain for the mountains and maybe over half an inch to an inch for parts of the lowlands with this. But the European model is stronger and would bring some gusty winds to parts of the area, and I'll show you that here in a second. And then the trough kind of just meanders over the area, but you can see this is by Thursday night of next week, and you can see that the models are starting to disagree a lot, but generally they're still going to be troughing over the area and likely some showers and precipitation and cooler weather during that time frame. And then as we head into next weekend, models start really disagreeing with the GFS having a ridge all the way up in the northern Canada. The European model only has a ridge just going up in the southern BC, so we'll continue to look at that as we go. Now, taking a closer look at things, here's British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, California. You can see that little upper level low off the California coast. Most of that precipitation dies by later this evening before making it to the Bay Area. Everything clears out for the next couple of days, but then as we get towards a late Monday morning into the early afternoon, this weak frontal system starts moving through. Most of the precipitation looks to die off by maybe midnight or so. Generally light precipitation, maybe a couple tenths of an inch in the heaviest areas. But then as we go through Tuesday into Wednesday, the rain starts arriving with this next system probably late Tuesday afternoon. But look at how the European model has a 983 millibar low, and that moves up in the Vancouver Island. This would bring a pretty strong frontal system through the area, maybe some gusts over 40 miles per hour for parts of the region. Definitely would bring some isolated, scattered power outages to the region. It wouldn't be a major storm, but this is definitely getting close. If that low trends any farther south than that, the strong winds on the backside right here. And if I go to the wind gust parameter, you can see this. You can see there's some wind gusts over 70 miles per hour on the backside that's low. So if that came closer, we would be definitely watching out for a big windstorm. But you can see it starts bringing some of those gusty winds. You can't really see it that well on the last night's run, but this morning's run was showing a bit stronger. Now looking at the cloud forecast right now, you can see that there's generally some fogginess and some cloudiness off the coast of California, which is very normal this time of the year. It looks like we look to have mostly clear skies for the first half of Sunday before those higher level clouds start moving in as that weak frontal system approaches from the northwest. You can see most of those clouds stop at the Cascades, so likely eastern Oregon and parts of eastern Washington will be sunnier for longer. But you can see then the clouds from the next system start approaching in the area later in the week. Now looking at the national blended models, this is total precipitation in inches, and this is for the entire total precipitation through about 7 days or so. This is all the way till Friday morning, and you can see it has even some of the Cascades starting to approach over 4 inches of rain in places, even an inch to 2 inches potentially for the Puget Sound and Southwest BC. You can see a bit of rain showering near Sequim on the northern side of the Olympic Peninsula. You can see that little light blue that's below an inch of rain right there. And then you can see some light rain even into northern California with that first frontal system. And then that next system will also bring some rainfall to parts of northern California and southern Oregon as well. And you can see this is going to likely be almost atmospheric river type rain and moisture. So most of that moisture gets wrung out in the mountains, and very little shows up over the Columbia Basin, though there will be some rain. And then it hits the Rocky Mountains and more rain gets wrung out. And that's why you see these heavier totals right along this mountain range as well. So it's really cool to see the orographic lift, as us weather folk call it. And now looking at the Pacific Northwest up close, this is the daily 2 meter max temperature. So this is surface high temperatures not from the national blended models. For the next couple of days, it's going to be generally pretty warm for this time of the year. Still pretty chilly mornings and evenings, but we're probably going to get some highs well into the 60s and low to middle 70s for parts of the Seattle area and even down into the Willamette Valley especially. And then eastern Washington, Oregon are also getting well into the 70s. But then you can see as that frontal system comes through Monday and the Tuesday, you can see high temperatures start dropping into the low to middle 60s for the Seattle area up towards Vancouver, even some highs in the 70s near the water. Oregon, Willamette Valley in the middle 60s, the low 70s. Eastern Washington, Oregon still decently into the 70s as well. As we go through Wednesday and Thursday, however, that next system really starts dropping down the temperatures with high temperatures not even breaking 60 degrees in places other than parts of the Columbia Basin and some of those valley areas over there. But you can see even the backcountry starting to get into the 30s, probably some frost and freezes up in the mountains up there. So it's going to be pretty chilly with that system later in the week with the rain and potentially gusty winds as well. Now looking at California and the Southwest United States, they've been having a record-breaking heat wave for weeks now. Thankfully, that looks to start calming down a bit later this week, and they can really use a break because they've been getting record-breaking temperatures almost every single day, which is kind of ridiculous. The Sacramento Valley and much of California is going to be in the 70s and 80s over this week, but you can see that they start getting moderating quite a bit through this week. Nothing like the 90s and 100s that they were having a few weeks ago. Even down in Phoenix and stuff is starting to drop into the low 90s and upper 80s, even in the mid 80s potentially later this week, as that low pressure system that affects Washington, Oregon, the Pacific Northwest moves down over the Southwest United States, and that will bring some relief for those down there. Now looking at a nice graphic from the National Weather Service of Spokane, Washington. Here is the weekend weather. You can see mostly nice weather, but chilly mornings though, especially today. And you can see mostly partly cloudy with highs in the 70s. This upcoming week, you can see it's still relatively nice on Monday, but this is for eastern Washington, western Idaho. So most of that first frontal system later on Monday is likely not going to bring any rain to them, or very little. Highs in the upper 60s and middle 70s for those days. Rain and showers and wind start arriving Wednesday through Friday with that stronger system. Now looking at the climate prediction center, this is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. This is for October 17th through the 21st. So later next week. And you can see generally below average temperatures favored with that system coming through. Above average precipitation expected, which is to be expected with that frontal system. The 14-day temperature outlook, this is for October 19th and through the 25th. This is for next weekend, the week after that. But as we saw earlier, the models are disagreeing a good bit, but generally it looks like we're going to stay below average to near normal for the Pacific Northwest, generally above average for parts of the Southwest United States. As a ridge may start building in again after that upper level low I was showing you cooling down the area. The 8 to 14-day precipitation outlook still, it's showing above average precipitation potentially for the Pacific Northwest, also below average to near normal for the Southwest United States and also Southern Oregon. So we're just going to have to continue to look at this as we go. I hope everybody's having a great day and enjoys their weekend and the nice weather. Rain is expected later this week. Weak frontal system on Monday for mainly the western part of west of the Cascades, some light rain. Then we get a bit of a break before our next system brings rain and potentially gusty winds from late Tuesday evening through later in the week. So I hope everybody takes care. God bless, and I'll talk to everybody in the next forecast video.